Okay, folks, welcome to the end of the fifth turn. This is the AM turn on the 18th of December, and this is a very big turn again for the Germans. I'm going to show you a map of the situation just at the end of the, I think it was a 4 p.m. turn, to show you the situation just before that night turn. Now, during that night turn, the Germans placed 3 stacks of the first SS Panzer Corps. I'll fix this up in a minute. Under night counters around this area here. So this is where the stacks were, just in this open terrain here. I spoke about the possibility of moving in various directions. They looked around. So V had a strong defense. There's all these Americans in the Bois Roulant area here. Very difficult to move through. They did have 2 units in, they had a lot of defense out here, still existing, and they had 2 units in Malmedy. But what they noticed was that the defenders in Malmedy only had a combined defense factor of 3, one of them was an engineer, and if they could break through Malmedy, the next Americans were sort of way back here, beyond Trois Point, and to the left and right. There was this bit of a gap through Stavelot to these rivers here. You can see that's where they've advanced to. So what they did in their night turn was they focused all their effort on Malmedy. Most of those stacks focused on here. They achieved, in fact, what happened was the Americans put up a determined defense, lost their last step. So they lost a step in combat. I think they got a D1 result, the Germans. The Americans put up a determined defense from memory. They succeeded in that defense, but lost a step. I'll show you that determined defense table. I think they got either a 2 or a 3 result. So they succeed, but they lose a step. So the Germans were allowed to advance into Malmedy, but stopped there, no further advance. But this is, of course, their night turn. And during the AM turn, they've pushed through that gap and covered their flanks. You can see a lot of the kind of, generally, like putting the weaker 1st SS units out on the flanks, trying to drive through with the strongest units towards, and what I also noticed during this AM turn was this big pocket of Americans, and the 1st SS Panzer swung around. They kind of swung through this road here from Stavelot to Vannes, and then up into here. Now their combat here failed. They got an engaged result with their attack advantage. This is a nice stack here, powerful stack. This is where their most powerful units are, and they failed. Nonetheless, this was combined with a sort of an attack from the 47th Panzer Corps, I think it is, from the south, and they drove through. They, in fact, did very well. Very, very low odds. It was about 3-to-1 odds, but they succeeded. Got a retreat result here. A couple of D1. Was it D1? No, not D1. Firefight results, I think, from memory, which caused step losses to the Americans and retreats, which, long story short, enabled them to advance and capture this area here. Now, what this has done is very nearly create a pocket of isolated American units. I haven't placed the out of supply isolation markers yet, but I'll need to check the rules, but these may all be out of supply, because the only way, I've got to stop touching the counters, the only way out of this pocket is across this bridge here and here. This is a corridor through here. This is an American unit under there, strong defensive unit, which is why they did well in that combat, forced an engaged attacker advantage result, but this is the only way out. Now the Germans decided to blow this bridge to try to slow the Germans down through this area. Maybe they shouldn't have. Given there's only 2 bridges out of here, maybe they should have kept that bridge open to enable them to retreat. So the Americans now are in this very difficult position where there are 8 steps of American units in this pocket. And the Germans aren't really fighting them, they're just moving around them. The 1st SS Panzer Corps driving down here, and 47th and 58th, I think, elements of driving down here. They sort of shifted and drove straight here towards this area. This is Vilsam under that grief marker. So Vilsam has been the kind of pinch point for 1st SS and 47th Panzer Corps. But the story gets better for the Germans, because over here they've had another series of successes. This is, again, relatively low odds combats, but they've had great successes, driving the defenders back, causing some step losses here and there. What was the step loss? Step loss there on armoured infantry, disruption, retreat. Out here, some more success, another eliminated unit, American unit around Ettelbruck. And yeah, slowly pushing again. They've basically driven the Americans back off Elsenborn Ridge, and the Americans are now pulling way back because they've got all this kind of valuable infantry in this area that they need over here. So these guys are all trying to retreat. Very difficult to use the roads around here. They basically have to retreat all the way back to Viviers and then loop around. So they're using this road here. More American reinforcements have arrived this turn. We finally have the 82nd Airborne units, and the 101st, of course, arriving up here. They're using their trucks to drive down as quickly as possible. Bastogne, look, here's the thing. I could only get 2 American units to Bastogne. Now I could either defend both hexes lightly or one hex more strongly. And yeah, I've chosen to defend the southern half of Bastogne rather than both hexes, because the Germans do have a lot of strength in this area, and they can really hit Bastogne hard. And yeah, I don't want to be sacrificing any more American units. Out here in the west, I mean, when I play Bulge games, I kind of know the story here. The Germans don't make much progress with this sort of, yeah, they're kind of usually stuck on the Sur River. This is just holding their flanks. The Germans have done very well here. These are all slow-moving infantry. They've got one armoured unit here. But they've been progressing and protecting their flanks, and now starting to block the American reinforcement entry hexes out here on the left, which is going to be costly. Again, I need to check the rules for this. I think this forces the Americans to occupy this hex with something, which I haven't done, which I'll do in a moment. I'll correct that. So yeah, good story out here. Progress now towards Bastogne. They're 2 hexes away from Bastogne in the centre here. They are, well, there's a road through the Hoffelays through here. And keep in mind, this is after the American response. So after the American response, the Germans have roads through here. They have roads to Hoffelays. If they want to attack Hoffelays, they have a road to Bastogne. They can capture Bastogne on the northern half on their very next turn. They can... they attacked Saint-Vit. They suffered. It was an exchange result, so the Americans did have 2 units in there. So the Germans lost a valuable elite armoured unit. But reducing the defenders, if they can capture Saint-Vit, it really opened those roads up. The focus now is pocketing these Americans, making sure they don't escape, securing this area here, which they'll do. There's a bridge here that can cross, so you can see this unit here. They can drive up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can reach La Roche and Ardennes by the end of their next movement phase, and they can attack there. What else can they do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They can be up here towards Mormont. Yeah, almost at the Ouse River. Hotton's just up here. What about these guys? 1, 2, 3. They've got some engineers here. It's a bit slow around here because the American reinforcements have come on from this side and are blocking. But there's a big open gap on these roads through here. So the German, yeah, look, and it all came about because of that attack on Malmedy, which, yeah, they just noticed the relatively weak defences there. What else? Yeah, Germans moving their artillery up. They haven't used a lot of artillery lately. A lot of this has been out of range. the Americans from this night turn will start to receive more reinforcements. The American step losses have been huge. 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I have 24 counters. Some of those are 2-step units in the eliminated box. So there's roughly, let's say, 28 steps of American losses. There are 2 eliminated German units, and maybe 2, 3, or 4 step losses on the board, so 6. The Germans are starting to increase their casualty rates that they're suffering, but I think they're doing so in important situations, so exchange results. I think they lost one in that attack on Malmedy, for example. That may have been an exchange. No, anyway. They're losing, but making progress at the same time. And I think they're inflicting far more American casualties than what they're suffering. So, yeah, look, these are the American reinforcements way up here. It's the German turn. Let's see what they do, and then I'll report back.